We are coming to you from Lee Memorial A.M.E. Church. My name is Obie Shelton, and I work with Earle Turner, who's the clerk of courts in Cleveland. And behind us is one of our in the neighborhood programs. Everybody that you see here came out because they are getting help, getting their lives back on track, dealing with issues that may be getting in the way. And as I told them and telling you, this is all the idea of Earle Turner, who's the clerk of courts. And I keep telling people that clerk of courts don't do these kinds of things. What they do is they collect money, which they have to by law. They keep court records. There's nothing in the law that says that they have to do anything like this. But for whatever reason, and I know what some of them are, he decided to start this, and it had to do with what you knew when you were a councilman. You were a councilman for how many years in Cleveland?
I was a city councilman in Cleveland for 21 years.
Yeah, and you knew the problems that people in the streets have, and that's why you tried to get them out of those problems, correct? Tell us about that.
When I was in city council, there were so many young men that were running from the police. So I started a little small program, worked with a state rep, and we started You Don't Have to Run. And we were trying to convince young men you don't have to run because they were running from the police. You know, they had these big silver combs
Yeah.
in their pocket, telephones in their pocket, and that's very dangerous, okay? And so when I became the clerk of courts, I said, well, what can I do to take the next step to stop young people or anybody from running from the police? And so that's why I looked at this program, and we started it many, many years ago to try to stop people from running from the police. And there were other reasons because, again, when I was in council, young people would come and say, I can't get a job. Then I would try to help them get jobs. Some people I did get jobs. And then they couldn't get the job. And then we would do further investigation and find out that they had a record, you know, or they had something on their record, or they had a warrant. And that was precluding them from getting those jobs. And so I looked at all of that when I was in Cleveland City Council and said, how do I help people that are in that situation? Because what happens is some of those people then get jobs that are way below the value of the work that they perform. And even if it was the minimum wage was $7, well, people were paying them under the table $5. Well, that wasn't their true value. And $7 minimum wage is cheap, too cheap for anybody to work for. Mm-hmm. But imagine a low minimum wage of $7, and then you're only getting $5 under the table.
Because you can't get a regular job.
Because you cannot get a regular job.
Because you got this thing on your record.
Because you have something criminal on your record, and then when people run your record, run your name, something pops up.
And it might have been something as simple as you didn't pay a speeding ticket.
The simplest thing in the world, a speeding ticket. And you didn't take care of it, then you got a warrant out for your arrest, okay? And so our aim was to stop that. But also, Obie, we wanted people to trust us. That was really big, and I worked with Judge Jones, who's no longer with us.
Larry Jones.
Judge Larry Jones, who was the administrative and presiding judge back then. And I went to him and I said, you know what? What's important is when we start this program that nobody gets arrested. So when people come to us, you know, it's not some trick where we're enticing people to come to a program and then get arrested.
Because people had heard about that across the country when people were
in other portions of the country, they did it. They tricked people into a building, then arrested them, okay? So what was important to me that people would trust when they heard my voice saying that there's gonna be a location that we're gonna meet, you know, that they could trust that there wasn't gonna be a police car sitting outside ready to arrest them. And we have fought really hard. Even back in the day, Judge Jones worked with us to make sure that it didn't happen. Went to the mayor back then, and we worked with, the police department to make sure we would give people documentation. So when they left our program, if they got stopped, they had the paperwork. Well, the police department was also happy because there were so many people that we noticed back in the day, Obi, and you remember this too, that some people had 12 and 13 warrants on them.
Yep.
And so what was happening is a person would drive without a license, get another violation, and it just would add on. Now you got 15 violations.
And they didn't know how to get out of it. And the thought was, I got to survive. I got to take care of my babies. So I'm just going to drive, and then you get stopped again. Now you got another violation, which compounds. And now, but you're not going to stop them from trying to live. And so, you hear these stories over and over again.
They thought the risk and reward of continuing to drive without a license was better to take the risk.
Right.
The reward was you got another violation.
Right.
And so that's not a reward.
Right.
That's a penalty.
Right.
So they were looking at that situation, and they didn't understand how deep they were getting. And then you have to understand what happens is your name goes into these databases. And so you're not only driving in Cleveland, you're driving in all the suburbs. And when they run your name, they're going to see these warrants. And so it gives other jurisdictions the opportunity to stop you and arrest you.
And when people get arrested, they often get put in jail. They can't make the bond. And so now they lose their job, or, it causes all kinds of things to spiral down. And next thing you know, you hear about a news story about them. Like, I remember you told me that there was a guy who led police on a police chase, and it ended in somebody crashing and dying. And when they found out the guy had warrants. So, because of a traffic warrant, driving under suspension, something like that, and then he doesn't want to go to jail, and now he leads police on a chase, and somebody gets killed. So, in the middle of that, or kind of as that's happening, I used to report news in Cleveland, and I come to your office, and you told me, I want to take my office out into the community, which was an extension of what you had been doing in council and with Judge Jones.
Yes.
And we didn't know what that was going to look like, right? Hey, we got some more people. Hey.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay, how you doing? Thanks for coming. We're doing a podcast, but we're working on a podcast, but thank you.
Yeah, we're on.
But
We'll talk to you later,
okay.
but we're
That's
glad
okay.
it is. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you
good,
very
good.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you when we finish the podcast.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So what you just saw is an example of this program's connection with the community and the community's connection with Clerk Turner. I mean, people come by here, and he's been in elected office for forever. Well, about 40-something years.
Oh, about 2 days.
Yeah, right. But he always approachable, and we could run this program without him being here, but he always says, I'll see you there, because he wants to come out and connect with people. Plus, isn't it true that we've learned how to tweak the program as a result of the stories we heard out here?
Absolutely. And there's so many changes. Obi, if you remember when we started the program, it was just us.
Yep. You mean Cleveland? It's just Cleveland.
It was just Cleveland. And it was just us, the clerk of court's office.
True. You're right. Absolutely
And
right.
if you probably remember we had a van.
Oh, yeah.
And we started on Central.
Central?
In a vacant lot. We started in vacant lot because, again, we wanted people to trust us. And we wanted to go to where the people needed the help. And that's what motivates me. This program it energizes me when we're going to do it. And I haven't been able to make a couple because I had to go out of town. One, I had to go to a Tyler conference, a technology conference, because the world's changing so fast with AI. So you got to keep up with it. And we had a weekend there. But we started where the people are at. And
Do you remember the chicken? There was some chicken pieces.
yes, I
Yeah,
do. I do.
on the ground on 79th and I think it was 79th and Central. That was our very first one, and we were
Yes.
outside in tents.
Yes.
And do you remember why we stopped the tents?
No, I don't remember that one.
Because we were in Dave's supermarket one day, and the wind came
That's
and
right.
blew
That's
the
right.
tent up in the air
Yes.
and almost blew it on some people and on some cars.
Yes.
And so you said, look, we got to go inside. And so we started moving inside, and I think that was when we started putting it on the radio. And I remember we announced we were gonna be at Olivet Baptist
Yes.
Church in the basement.
Yes.
And we showed up, and man, there were people lined up, 200 people outside.
It was unbelievable, Obi, how many people showed up. And then what was important to us when we were on Central in that vacant lot, people said, don't you need police? Don't you need security? I said, well, I need security to be with my people. These are my people. I'm out here to help them. There's nothing going to happen to us, okay? And we've never had security at our events because the people trust us. And when people get out of hand, the people that come to get that service, they check them quick.
They sure do, don't they? Yep.
Awfully quick. Because we're here to help people.
And you mentioned it. Yeah, it was just us. It was just the clerk of courts. Then you started talking to some people at our events, and the guy said, well, do you do child support? Can you help us out? And I said, what are we going to do? And you kept saying, let's engage child support, right? And so remember they came to one of our events. You invited them to one of our events, and we told them what we do, and we said, can you be part of our program? And so now we have child support. They come with their laptops, and you can plug in directly to the system, and you can ask those questions that you would be afraid to ask if you went to child support.
Because, Obi, you probably remember when we were at Olivet, we said, how many people have child support problems? And it seemed like everybody got up and went to the child support table. And so that was important because that helped people to go to child support, figure out what they needed to reconcile their accounts, make good what they had to pay, and get their license, because child support was suspending driver's license too.
Yep.
And so that was important. So, we could go through a complete process of helping people in Cleveland Municipal Court, but if child support is suspending their license because they haven't talked to child support, again, here's the situation. Not communicating with child support.
You just put it down.
Okay? And once we brought child support in, people started communicating with child support to get into payment plans. There was just so much help there that they didn't realize how child support could help them.
And I know it's been many years. And just to kind of back up, well, I came on board here in, I think it was 2009. And you told me I want to take my office out into the community, and I said, well, what does that look like? Are we going to go around like an ice cream truck, and stop? And it's the warrant man, it's the warrant man. But then it developed, and after child support, it was your idea, because someone said we need to have juvenile court here.
Absolutely.
And so we engaged juvenile court, and then they were part of our agency. But then what happened was they saw how effective that was. And they said, well, we're going to have our own program like in the neighborhood where people come in and we can guarantee
Because, Obi,
no
what
miss.
people don't realize is some of their juvenile records are still following them.
That's sure.
And so it was important back then to get people to come in and talk to juvenile court to get their juvenile records cleared, because that was holding and hindering some people. And that's why it was important. You might be 25, but you got this juvenile court record that's still existing that you needed to clear up. And so we work with people like Judge Ryan, and who's now in the Court of Appeals. We work with him to be able to bring juvenile court into our program. And that's, again, when you mentioned I wanted to bring our office to the community. we can be in the Justice Center, but the people need us in the community. And that's where I always, I'll tell you, just coming from city council and spending so many years there and understanding people and their problems, and then learning what people's problems were. And I have to be honest about it. The most frustrating part of being in city council was when people would come to my office and I couldn't help them. I didn't have that ability to help them. I would try to call the court, and they weren't really receptive to it, okay? And so pretty much it was just, I'm calling trying to help, and I really couldn't help people in a certain capacity because people did not see that vision,
Right.
okay?
Right.
So that was important to me that I learned by being in city council. I would get some days 100 calls, and can you imagine the issues that were before us? And so I learned, and then I learned not to be scared of your people. Now, I have to say this, Ovi. I said earlier that we don't have security. Unfortunately, because some of the situations that occurred, we've had to take a second look at that,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
We've had, over the years, we had to take a second look because, there's some people that do some crazy things, so now we've had to take a look at it, but they're not here to arrest anybody. They're here just to make sure nothing happens.
Right. And, I don't think I'm giving out any secrets. It was your decision not to have us exchanging money, at our event. We send people to court, and that's where you take care of it because you knew that any place you have money changing hands, you're inviting trouble.
Absolutely.
So we don't have any money changing hands.
There is not one dime exchange here. Our goal is to get you back in court. So we don't have. So if somebody's thinking, "Oh, I can come pay," no, you can't.
You can't pay.
You can't pay.
There was another transition that I remember that I don't know that you think about this. I remember we were at the Word Church, and we had like 300 people there, and we said, okay, how many of you have issues in Cleveland? All right, how many of you have issues in the suburbs? And we had to tell them, look, we can't help you because we can't schedule for the suburbs. And we had to let like 100, 120 people go.
Absolutely.
And then that led you on a path of, well, can we engage the suburbs and be part of it? And now we got every suburb in Cuyahoga County part of our. And remember, we went personally to different suburbs and told them, look, this is what our program is. And if we can guarantee, if we can put somebody that you want, that you've been trying to get into your court, we can get them into your court. What's the problem?
And you mentioned the Word Church, and one of the key persons that I worked with back in the day, I call him Brother Campbell, who went to the Word Church. And then there was Larice Purnell,
Yes.
who was the chief of staff at the time, and Pastor Vernon, who we've known for quite some time. And Pastor Vernon opened up his doors, said, come on in. He had us to come to his church service.
Yep.
Pastor Vernon was concerned about helping people get their records straight. So every year we would start at the Word Church, and it would be so crowded. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
300 people.
How many people would come, and I always thank Pastor Vernon for that because he did not have to do it.
Right.
He could have said, well,
It cost him money.
it cost him money. And let me tell you something. They had food there.
They did.
They had drinks there. They provided their level of security.
They had their staff to hug people when they came in.
They had their staff there. But what was most important is Pastor Vernon was there.
Yeah.
Okay? Opening up that prayer.
Right.
And we've done it every year. We've kind of shifted a little bit, but the Word Church was one of the big successes that we had when he opened up his door. So we had all these people at the Word Church, and we were turning people away.
Yep.
And I'm going, oh, okay, why are all these people leaving? Why are they getting up walking out? Well, we couldn't help them. So now we're back to when I was in city council again.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, I started this program to help people. How come I can't help all those people that are getting up walking away? Okay? And so we had 500, but 200 walked out the
You're
door
right.
to 300.
You're right.
Okay? So you're right. It was 300 people, but 200 left.
Yep.
And so we started thinking, well, how can we help the 200? And we started the traditional, let's find out what their problems are, where they're at. And then we reached into I used my relationships, because that's, when you're in public office, you're supposed to use your relationships to help people, not to help you.
Right.
Okay? And I used those relationships to go to the suburbs and reach out to them, and so that the same 200 people, we could get them back in court in the suburbs.
Right.
So when you hear the commercial, and 15 suburbs,
Yeah.
you hear that? I say it all the time, and 15 suburbs, okay? That means that we can help you, at least we've had connection and conversation with those suburbs. Now that means you have to go to those suburbs and handle your business.
Right.
And there are so many people that do handle their business. Now, let me just say this. There's some people that come to our program and they leave and they don't handle their business. And then they come again. And so I'm the kind of person, I'm always second chance, third chance. But unfortunately, our system won't allow you to keep coming now.
Right.
Okay?
We have ways to flag people.
Now we flag people and we say, look, handle your business this time. Don't come and say, oh, I'm going to handle my business. We set you up with a court here. We set you up in our court. The judge is sitting on the bench waiting for you to help you.
And then you don't show up.
And then you just don't show up.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, it makes me feel bad, and it's a little embarrassing to our program.
Sure.
Because our program is designed to help people.
Let me take you through one more thing, because no way we can talk about the whole program. But, we also morphed into expungements, legal works, right, which is a big part of our program now. And my memory is that people would ask us about it. We kept asking about it, but when we were first looking at it, it was not as inclusive as it is now, where the law has been changed in the last few years, where people can get a whole lot of convictions expunged. But as that has happened, that has drawn people to our program, because we work with Legal Works.
So Legal Works became a partner with us, as
Yes.
you are aware.
Yeah.
And again, we started running into that same scenario that when I was in council, we couldn't help these people to try to get their records expunged because the state law was so restrictive. And then I went to state rep like Shirley Smith and said, state rep, we need your help. Can you do something? She then began the process. And since then, it's been a John Barnes and other people that we've talked to and across the state of Ohio that looked at the expungement laws, and it made it so people can get their records expunged. And so, again, every time there's a wall, we try to tear it down, but you have to work with people, so we work with other partners.
And I can tell you that we have been able to present our program across the state and really kind of around the country,
Absolutely.
because people want to know, what are you doing in Cleveland? And I'm trying to think. There was, where was it?
Minnesota?
Minnesota, yes. And the judges in Minnesota asked us. And then I know I've been down to Columbus to talk to the clerk of courts, different clerks associations down there. And we have kind of fine-tuned it to where we got it down to a system. But we keep trying to tweak it. Like, how can we make it better? Now we're trying to make it more tech savvy, so we don't have to take up people so much of their time.
We're still working on it.
Yeah.
Before we had, like I said, 500, then 200 left. We still had 300. That's a long day for our staff.
Right.
And so we did have to modify it. We modified it down to we only take 100 people. And because we had the cyber situation in the court, we've had this year to go down to 50 people, and hopefully next year we'll be able to ramp it up a little bit higher. But, the goal is to help those who want to help themselves. Okay? I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. And I'm here to help you.
Man.
Okay? I'm reaching out.
Man.
saying, hey, come on in, let us help you. And all I could say to people, Earle Turner's not going to be here forever. And so you better start taking advantage, of the programs and the times that we're making available to help you.
Great. All right. So hopefully this is the first of several podcasts to come. And we can talk more about the office. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the office, in civil. We got small claims. We can talk about that another day. But this is, you can see our crowd's kind of thinning out because we're taking care of people. But this is in the neighborhood, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you before long. Thanks for joining us.